I flop a pair plus gut shot here, which is no good in a four-way pot. It's pretty awful. Okay, so I flopped 10 deuce. I got let into for pot on the left table, and I ended up raising. And he snap calls. The reason I raised the 10 deuce isn't 100% for value. It's a lot of the time just because two pair on boards like that just get cracked far too often. I'm gonna check back the four turn just because of how often he might have made straights, and I'm gonna bomb this river really hard. He could have a 10 a lot of the time. He definitely has a straight like a ton of the time. So yeah, I'm just gonna bomb it for pot and expect to get called a lot. So his range when he let out and then called was pretty much all straight draws, and then like a top pair with other runoff cards. And that's pretty much it. Maybe even like bottom set or something. But my 10 deuce boat beats his whole range by the river. If he were to check raise the river, I would have been in a really tough spot, and I may have folded. But I don't really recommend floating with bad two pairs on flops. But I don't really recommend always stacking off with him either. 10 deuce 3 flop, and I had 10 deuce. If he just wanted to get it in, I would have ended up folding. I'm not just gonna stack off with top and bottom pair when there wasn't like a lot of action pre. So now I'm heads up on the left, and I'm just gonna continually put pressure on Power Haas. Power Haas plays a lot, but I don't know how much heads up he plays. So 187 River decides to lead this. King 6 deuce. I could raise. I think calling is really bad. Raising was probably okay. Yeah, I would have turned a little rapper. Ace King Jack Jack on the left. I'm gonna be three betting. He's short enough where I wanna make his stack size much smaller to the flop. It comes 3-6-6. I don't think he ever hits a board like this. I'm going to be betting out small enough where it gives him an opportunity to bluff raise. I don't think that he will very often, but I think if I check to him, he's going to check back too. So I might as well just protect jacks. And he does call. So king is a card that I can let him bluff, and it will happen sometimes, and he just snap checks back. And at this point, I don't think he has much of anything. I'm going to check back and hope that he doesn't check back himself. And he decides not to bluff at it. So he might have had a really strange hand, like let's say 7-7-8-9 or something like that, where he wasn't willing to fold sevens. But he can never really, any hand like that, he can never really call a river bet anyway. So I'm just gonna give him a chance to bluff at it, and he didn't. And I wasn't representing a strong hand whatsoever either. So I raise, I get three bet. I feel at this point it's fold or get it in, and I'm not really that happy with getting it in because I'm never really a favorite against much. However, he is short enough where I'm never going to be that big of a dog. It's probably going to be 45-55 the majority of the time, so I'm just going to get it in. Um, okay, and he does have kings. That is a great flop. Better turn and a good river. So I end up taking that down. And I ran pretty good on the left, and table cleared out. Oh, but I got a rebuy from Powerhouse. So I will continue to play him heads up for a while and see how it goes. I'm going to be continually raising my button. Probably about 90% of my hands. I don't like folding my button heads up very often. I don't think it's a great play. So ace 8-4, pretty good double barrel board. I have a gut shot. I don't have any backdoors really, which sucks. I just feel like it's a board that he can't really check raise. So he calls. Not a ton of straight draws. He could have like 5, 6, 7. But I think the majority of the time he just has an ace here, and that's the kind of turn where he'll never just fold an ace, even if he had like ace jack, blank blank or something. And he's probably just gonna check over to me again, and I'll end up folding. Obviously, if he had an 8 on the flop with a gut shot, he's not gonna be folding the turn. If he has an ace with any kicker, I feel like he wasn't gonna fold the turn. And I have queen high right now, so I have a decision where I could either raise or fold. And given the way the hand played, I think raising doesn't make any sense from my spot. Not really whatsoever. So I'm just gonna end up folding. He could have air there sometimes, but I think he has a real hand there more often than air. So on the right, I'm going to be raising my button, ace jack 5-4. On the left, I'm raising my button, queen 8-9-3. Pretty bad Omaha hand, but I'm going to try and I'll play post flop for the most part. 5-5-9-7 in the cutoff. I'm going to be folding. You should generally play a little bit tighter from any spot other than the button. I would recommend in Omaha you get a lot of floats, you get a lot of action. So I have queen 8-9-3 on a jack 4-3 board. There's almost no turns that I really like that much except for maybe a 10. So I decided to c bet, and I just had no other really play. He check raises, and I'm just gonna end up giving it to him. So E. Allen decides to join our table, and he is also a regular. Ace 8-4-3 double suited on the button. I'm going to be raising that up. 10-9-6-3. I'm going to be folding on the right. Like I said, playing really tight from almost all positions except for cutoff and button, I guess. If you can take the button over. If the guy to your left is tight when you're in the cutoff, then you can raise a lot more taking position in the hand. Omaha's very difficult to play out of position, unless you're really willing to be check raising a lot of boards and be willing to lead, not just once, but 2 or 3 streets for bluffs or for value. Um, it just becomes really difficult to make good decisions all the time from out of position. A little bit easier in Hold'em because you know absolute hand strength a bit better, and in Omaha, absolute hand strength is much more difficult unless you have the nuts, pretty much. Um, and one thing people started doing a lot more lately in Omaha is floating in position with flop nuts, um, and getting more value. So I have 2 pair on this board, but I still feel like there's not much he could call with by not betting the flop. So I'm gonna give him a shot to bluff at it. I'm basically, giving up, saying I have absolutely nothing. King hits the river. It's a heart. I don't think he ever has a heart draw. I'm gonna bet small, just hoping that he's able to call with like any 2 pair. I beat almost all of his 2 pairs that would have played it this way. I don't think he ever has 7-8 or a flush the way the hand played. I'm just basically going for value in case he has a hand, that contains king 9, king 5, king 6. A worse ace is up. I'm raising the button, queen 8, 9, 10. So this is a flop that I'm just going to be potting. I think it only makes sense to. Betting small, I can get bluff raise a lot, and putting pressure on like this, it puts him in a spot where he's forced to check raise a large amount of what he has left. And I can almost never get bluffed. He's got to do it with real hands. He's got to do it with sets, straights, and like nut flush draws, which is going to